Let's go, bro. You up? You go.
Everybody
let's
not
go.
gone.
Come on, let's go. You can't go nowhere.
Yo, let me hear about the Asian pet peeves.
Every month, a med tech tests my blood by swiping alcohol on the inside of my arm. Wraps a tourniquet around my bicep, then waits for the vein to bulge. I'm praying she pricks the vein on the first attempt. I'm praying when the results return, it won't reveal I'm sick again. This is the part about cancer survival no one ever hears about. My nephew fell from riding his bike for the very first time last week. And while bandaging the wound on his knee, he asks me, am I gonna die? Funny, I asked my doctor the same thing after my first diagnosis. I tell him no, not today. At 5 years old, he is as relentless with questions as I am about cigarette breaks on a Monday. He asks, when I do die, where will I go? I wanted to tell him there's a war on the other side of the world trying to figure out the answer to that question. But honestly, I don't know. All I know is that children can find God way before our religion can teach them how to do so. And somewhere along the way they grow to be like me, 31 years old, riddled with paper cuts from pushing paper to stack against bill collectors and medical expenses and overdraft fees. First of the month you'll find me on my knees, bleeding fingers pressed against rosary beads, praying God can stop the world from sipping the life out of me through my fingertips. The world is bleeding, blood coursing through the veins, searching for an open wound to erupt from. You can taste the iron on your tongue, the smell of sweating stray bullets from our guns, and we are still firing at will. Every pull of the trigger, countered by the push of the rosary beads we whisper for all the innocent blood we spill, and it spills. Crimson cascades from the raisin-covered wrist of the teenage kid who decided to change his mind. It spills on the thighs of a girl whose eyes still sparkle like the shattered mirror she was thrown against. It spills against the surface of diamonds, refracting light into ghosts of starving children and slaughtered kings and shackled slaves. It spills against the walls of Jerusalem, splattered bodies and scattered ash, turning desert winds into graves. I am picturing God, frantically flipping through scriptures, wondering how we got the idea that this was okay. It spills out of refugees with barbed wire scrapes on their knees. It spills out of soldiers trading amputated limbs for college degrees. Ligaments told from their bodies by our own eagle's talon. Spills into barrels sold for $3.50 a gallon, and there I am, cursing at the rush hour fumes for a gas gauge gone past empty again. And suddenly, my need to pay the mortgage doesn't seem to measure up. In a world that bleeds from wounds larger than my paper cuts, I'm just trying to get by. I bandage the wound on my nephew's knee, but can't seem to look him in the eye until I figure out how to tell him the world will bleed you for everything you got, so you better find a way to heal before the blood has a chance to clot. His mother tells me she hopes the wound won't scar. I tell her she better hope it does, even if it's small. At least then he'll have something to remind him to get up and lick his wounds every time he falls, push past the pain. I see scars like I see plywood nailed against windows in the aftermath of hurricanes. Wounded, but still standing. Destroyed, but still divine. So I check off scars like I check off tallies from battles I've left behind. It's been 6 months since my last blood test. My doctor calls to ask me why. So I give him the answer I finally found fitting to give my nephew. Told him I stopped wondering what will happen if I die. I would rather be bleeding, waiting for wounds to turn to scars, thanking God for managing a way to keep me alive.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Come on, bro, you next. Come on. You come out that door, you gotta spit. Let's go.
I'll come right back. I'm doing the
No. Come on. Come on. Everybody that walk out that door.
They want me to go to the war over there. I'm at war right here. They want me to live in the world of fear and just limit my world to here. And not only sharing their prosperity, yet be considered a charity case, but not be upset when my face isn't included in that great American race called the paper chase. You got the CIA, FBI, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, National Guard, but still my social security isn't safe. They want me to identify with the terrorists and identify the terrorists, all while being grateful given their hateful nature that my name isn't on that list. They say don't look a gift horse in the mouth or allegedly whistle at a white chick down south, because see, they allowed us to not be segregated. Now we can fight alongside of them and not be relegated to our own companies and ranks, and we can presumably die with honor but no thanks. Because see, a couple of years ago, I watched a private name Shoshana get Jessica lynched, and I'm just as convinced that it could happen to me. You see, we not so far removed from that generation that got holes down, the Medgar Evers who got mowed down on his lawn, the King and Kennedys killed by government invaders and haters, and Malcolm by Muslim traitors. People, I present to you my case. Faded pictures in the broken glass with the words I speak and I've spoken. I ask, what did they use before to stop the movement and the revolution? War. Specifically, Vietnam have a country and fighting and talking about war that we shouldn't have been in and couldn't win, but instead of fighting for civil rights, the fight was just for peace. which if you ask me is like paying for air. So they close all the institutions and hospitals to shell-shock veterans coming home addicted to heroin, but open the doors to the inner city community saying let your heroes in. A perfect recipe for trouble, people living on the bubble, the fabric of life torn at the seams from struggles. You got dreams, muffled ex-hippies and PCP users teamed up and huddled together, drawing up the next play in the game of the best way to escape reality today. No civil rights leaders in sight, still plenty of civil rights fights to fight, but President Carter was busy treating the Middle East with Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat. So we got Reagan, and I got happy when he got shot because Reagan begot Reaganomics and crack and blatant political policies aimed at blacks, but still no civil rights leaders as we got Bush, except for Jesse the Poet Jackson. He got a Rainbow Coalition and a chance to run Operation Push. No sooner than we get a brief reprieve than we receive Bush Jr. And that's where we're at, y'all. Second term of tyranny. I'm asking if you hear me. Socially conscious minds, people against violence everywhere. Hopefully Barack in 08, we gotta pave the way. This is a damn shame that even today I can stand here and say that we've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and led astray.
All right, who's next? Who's next? Who's next?
One more.
One more.
Come on, the lady back there. What's up?
Should I do something creative, real creative, or should I philosophical? You guys like philosophical stuff?
Do a love poem.
Love Jones.
Nah, I don't feel like that. I'm not really love Philosophical. Philosophical, deep. Let's go deep, real deep. So deep that the subconscious and conscious mind meet. A true meeting of the minds where genius is the norm, where creation is Mecca. There's no such thing as conform. A true meeting of the minds where knowledge reigns supreme, where dreams are for dreaming even more dreams. Now that's deep. Too steep for most to climb. I see in my third eye, but my third eye you can't find. Cause I'm so deep that most of you are blind to the fact that my subconscious became conscious. I'm so deep, I'm beyond that. Beyond egotism at exterior, the eclipse of an eyelid. One blink brings twilight for the line to capture. A new dawn, a sunrise full of possibilities. The incubation of dreams not yet revealed to the conscious mind. Cause subconsciously we know, subconsciously we grow. Do we dare tangle with our own thoughts and feelings? Do our feelings control thoughts caught between two minds, subconscious and conscious, interactively rehearse, delightfully dancing, playfully competing, diving deeper and beyond? Sounds like an oxymoron, but it's true. Knowledge of self that elusives eternal bliss, transcending into enlightenment, an epiphany of knowledge, cause knowledge never knew. Knowledge always was and always will be there, waiting for us to tap into, engage, and be in awe of something much greater than us. And in the same breath, this entity much greater than us is also in us, dormant, ready to be activated. Ponder on this. Scientists look beyond and search the stars millions of light years away, finding planets, comets, meteors, Milky Ways, and galaxies. Life mysteries, the elusive seas of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. What if our third eye, the all-seeing and all-knowing eye, was the mental telescope into the black hole called the mind, and clustered above was millions of stars called thoughts. Thoughts cascade back and forth, 10 to the power of infinity. Positive and negative ions were really good and bad intentions, and every so often a comet will whiz by called ideas. Some ideas more spectacular than others. Stimuli stimulates brain frequencies, white and gray matter holding space. The final frontier, lost in this mental solar system of 3 planets, conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. One day worlds will collide. They say we only use 10% of the human mind. What if 10% of our mind span was dominant, 90% recessive, waiting, sleeping in hibernations, thousands of generations anticipating the apocalypse of mankind. But there's no end when worlds collide. When 10% merges with 90%, creating 100% mental capacity, the ultimate climax, the ultimate apex. You have seen the light. Truth has arrived. It was and always will be there, waiting for us to tap into and gaze and be in awe of something much greater than us. And in the same breath, this entity much greater than us is also in us, dormant, ready to be activated. Now that's deep, beyond reason, oblivious.